Hey guys, it's Alex and welcome back to Where Alex Reads. I know that I've kind of been MIA for the past, I don't even know, 4 months, maybe more. I was previously filming on my phone and then something happened where I've got like dust like inside the lens of my phone and I've tried everything to fix it and I can't figure it out. So I didn't want to film because it drives me nuts when I even like take a picture or do anything with it. So I've just been not filming because I didn't have another camera. I think I have a digital camera from like 2007. Yeah, and that just wasn't gonna cut it. I don't even know if it records. And I hadn't really told much of my family aside from my mom that I was doing a booktube channel. And I had mentioned it to my sister and she's like, I have a camera you can use, so that's what I'm using. So shout out to her for letting me borrow her camera. Hopefully I'm gonna buy my own within the next couple months here. I was saving up for it and then I booked a vacation instead, so oops. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do I was gonna say April. Is it? No, it's May. Jeez. I'm gonna do a May TBR video and I will probably do like a really long wrap up maybe at the end of this month or end of next month, just showing you what I've read pretty much this year. I've been doing really good with my reading goals. I've kept up with booktube. I've been watching a lot of videos and stuff like that. I just haven't been able to film. So I know I'm kind of talking a lot. I will jump into the books I'm going to read for May. I think I have about 9 books on my TBR this month. I just could not decide what I wanted to read. So I kind of picked a whole bunch. I'm also going to be participating in the Buzzword Readathon, I think it's called. Lala over at Books and Lala is hosting it along with Dylan from Dylan the Reader, and that is going on this week. And the buzzword is girl, so any book with the word girl in the title, whether it's in English or another language or it says girls, or if it's anywhere in the title of the book, you can read it. There's no reading requirement or anything like that. There is one book that they are doing for the readathon that is like buddy read, I guess, with everyone. So I am going to be reading that and I'll let you know what it is. But that one just came out today, so I should have it by Thursday. I think it's going to be here. So anyways, I will jump into what I'm going to read. I have 9 books. I've already read 2 of them. So I guess maybe I could get them all done, but I don't think I will. So the first book, and this is one I already read, is To All the Boys I've Loved Before. This is by Jenny Han, and it's a very light, fluffy young adult romance novel, which I've been reading a lot of fantasy lately and kind of some heavier books. And the other day it was really nice outside and I was like, you know, I just want a fluffy, easy to read romance. So I picked this up and I read it in like one night. And I really surprisingly enjoyed it. Like, I didn't think I was gonna pick this up anytime soon. It was kind of sitting on my bookshelf, but I'm really happy that I did. It follows the main character, and she basically, when she is no longer in love with someone, you know, those like flings you get in middle school and high school, she writes them a love letter and she signs it and she puts it in a box and she just puts it away in a hat box in her room. And it's basically her like saying goodbye to these guys and getting over them, essentially. So one day all these letters get mailed, and the boys that she was in love with, they get these letters. It's kind of about her figuring out what she wants. It was cute. It is a series. I think there's 3 books. So I did buy the second one just for the next time that I'm in the mood for a light fluffy romance. I'll pick it up. The second book I'm reading this month is Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. It is the second book in the Red Rising trilogy. So I read Red Rising, say that 5 times fast. I read that in January. I believe it was January, somewhere around there. And I really enjoyed it. It's like a sci-fi fantasy novel, takes place on Mars. It follows the story of this character named Darrow. Darrow. I'm really terrible with character names, apparently. So he is a red, and in this society, there's all different colors, and basically that's like what level you are. It kind of dictates what you do within the society. So there's red, and they're all the way at the bottom, and then there's gold to kind of rule the different worlds. And the reds are told, at least on Mars, that Mars isn't livable yet, that they're in these mines mining, is it helium maybe? Don't quote me on that, but they're mining to make the surface livable. But then Darrow finds out that there's actually this entire world and society already living on Mars. They're essentially just doing this work to keep it livable, and they don't even know what's going on the surface. So he finds this out, and then he joins this rebellion group where they actually kind of choose him and turn him into a gold. And then he is sent to this institute and learns to become a gold and kind of moves his way up the ranks, kind of thing. So this book follows more of his journey as a gold and with this rebellion group, and it's good. I'm really enjoying it, but I'm in like a slump with fantasy reads right now. I just have not been in the mood. This is like sci-fi / fantasy, but I don't know. I need a break, and you'll see with the rest of my TBR kind of is, I don't think I really have much other fantasy. I have like a middle grade book that is sort of magic fantasy-esque, but all right. The next book that I am reading, it's the School for Good and Evil, A World Without Princes. This is the second book in the School for Good and Evil trilogy. I believe there's 3 in this as well. I read the first book last month. It was really cute. I really enjoyed it. So I have a problem where I always start series, and then even if I own the other books in the series, I don't read them for like months, and then I go back to try and read them, and I don't know what happened in the second one. So I'm trying to correct that a little bit and actually get through a bunch of the series that I own before I start another one. So I'm not letting myself start any more series until I've actually like finished the ones that I have already started. This book, again, it's a middle grade. It follows the story of Sophie and Agatha, and they live in a world where they're actually the readers of fairy tales. So they grew up reading these fairy tales, and then every 4 years, the schoolmaster comes and kidnaps 2 kids from this town and takes them to the School for Good and Evil, where they're actually trained to be either prince or princesses or villains. So the really good kids, they believe they're going to be sent to the School for Good, and really bad goes to the School for Evil. So Sophie basically has trained her entire life to be good and perfect and, you know, trying to go above and beyond to do good things. And Agatha lives with her mom in a cemetery, and everyone thinks she's weird and that she's like a witch. So it's assumed that she's going to the School for Evil. But then when they get to the school, they're switched. So Sophie ends up in the School for Evil, Agatha in the School for Good, and it follows their adventures, and it's a really cute story. So this second book just continues that, and we'll see. The next book I'm going to read this month is a non-fiction book, and it is Loving the Person You Are Today, This Is Me by Christie Metz. I really love This Is Us. It's like one of the only shows that I really watch. So when I saw this in Barnes & Noble and it's a signed copy, I was like, oh, I have to have this. It should be a pretty quick read. I don't even think it's 300 pages. But it's her story of kind of growing up, and I believe her father left when she was young, and then her mom got remarried. So it just tells her story of how she got to where she is today and how she's basically become the woman that she is now. Hopefully it's good. I haven't heard anyone talk about this on YouTube at all yet, so I'm sure they're out there. I just haven't looked for them for any videos. Maybe I will. But I'll check it out. We'll see how it is. This is like one of the books I'm definitely gonna read this month because it's been sitting on my bookshelf staring at me, and every time I see it I just think I should pick it up. So I'm gonna do that. The next book on my list is Before We Met by Lucie Whitehouse. This is a psychological thriller. It's a really short book, and it is about a woman who meets this guy and falls madly in love, and I think she moves to London for him. And so they're married, living in London, and he, I guess, goes on a business trip and then never returns, and her bank account's emptied. Someone is calling his office all the time, and so it's about her figuring out like what was going on. Was there something she missed going on in the marriage, and trying to figure out what happened to him. So I've heard decent things about this. I got it pretty cheap on Book Outlet. I've been in the mood for like thrillers and mystery books lately. Usually that's like a fall thing for me, but for whatever reason this one looked good, so we're gonna check it out and see how it goes. All right, the next book I'm going to read before I get into the Buzzword Readathon books that I'm currently reading is The Mime Order by Samantha Shannon. This is the second book in the Bone Season trilogy. I read the Bone Season last month. I liked it. The main character really bothered me. I wasn't a huge fan of her, but again, this book I have had sitting on my shelf. I have the entire trilogy that I got like dirt cheap, and I liked it. It's not like I hated it enough to never read the series again, and I'm trying to get better about reading series on my shelf, so I am going to give this one a shot. I've actually heard better things about this book than the first one, so I'm hoping the main character gets a little less annoying. This is a fantasy series, follows main character Paige, who is clairvoyant, and she's basically a dream walker, so she can kind of like go into people's dreamscapes and have an effect on them that way. And then she is captured one day by this society, kind of like extraterrestrial life, who these people have set up a secret city in Oxford, and essentially they kind of like run the world without anyone else knowing about it. Like they control like a lot of politics and government stuff. So she is kidnapped by them to kind of work for them, and it's about her story with trying to leave the city and get back to her old life and to her friends. So that's really what the first book is about. I'm not going to give anything away that happens, but this just continues to follow her journey, so it'll be interesting to see what happens in this one. The last 3 books on my TBR are the 3 books I'm doing for the Buzzword Readathon, which again is the word girl, so any book with the word girl in the title. I am going to be picking up a copy of the buddy read, so that should be here soon. That is Undead Girl Gang, and I can't remember who that is by, but I will put a picture up so you can see it. That book is about the main character and 3 girls from her school suddenly pass away. I think they're murdered or something. I think it's possibly a suicide pact, or that's what people believe it is. And then she unexpectedly raises them from the dead, and it's about her figuring out like what actually happened with these girls. So it seems interesting. It's a young adult book, and we'll see how that one goes. The next 2 books were just 2 books that I had on my shelf, so these are the only 2 books I had unread on my shelf with the word girl in the title, so that's what I'm going with. The first one is The Girl from Everywhere by Heidi Helic? Yeah. It's about a girl whose father owns a ship that can take them anywhere. They can travel through time, backwards, forwards, anywhere they want to go. So one day, I think her dad decides he wants to go back to when he met her mother. I don't know if her mom died or what happened there, but she's the love of his life, and he decides to go find her, which kind of puts this main character in a tough situation, because if something goes wrong while he does that, she, you know, may not be around anymore. This one looks good. I'm only going to read this if I really have time for it. Again, I'm not in a huge fantasy mood, and this is what I had. If I somehow manage to get through the 2 other books that I'm definitely reading this week, then I'll pick this one up, but we'll see. And the last book, and one that I've started already, is Final Girls by Riley Sagar. Yes, Riley Sagar. Okay, this book is like a slasher thriller novel, and I've really heard mixed reviews about this, but it sounds exciting. And again, I've kind of been in the mood for like mystery, thriller, horror stuff. I don't know why. Like, I had this urge the other day to pick up a Stephen King novel, and I like to read Stephen King around Halloween, so I don't know. So this follows the story of the main character, Quincy, who was with, I believe, some friends from college, staying at this cottage, and all of her friends there were murdered except for her. And she escapes, and the book is actually about her years later, after she's not, I wouldn't say recovered, but she's kind of had to deal with this whole thing for a few years, and I believe she's engaged. I'm not that far into it yet, but she's dating someone seriously or engaged, and she is a part of this group called the Final Girls, and it's just these girls kind of throughout the past years who have witnessed these like murders happen to their friends or to a group of people, and they're the only ones left. So it's about these girls, and there were 3 of them. They've never met each other, but they know who each other are just from media, and I think they have kept in contact a little bit. But then one of these final girls, the first one, she commits suicide, but I think there's more to it than that. I don't know if it's going to end up being a suicide. That's kind of the point. So she commits suicide, or she's murdered, and then the last 2 final girls kind of have to stick together, and something's going to happen. We'll see. This one, it seems interesting, but I have heard some mixed reviews and some not so good ones that this is, I don't know if it's just going to be cheesy, like a cheesy horror. Like, reading the first few pages kind of reminded me of like watching Scream or Halloween or something like that. But we'll see. I'm totally in the mood for this kind of read right now, so I may end up really enjoying it. But yeah, that's my very long TBR. And like I said, I am probably not going to get to all of these this month. I should be able to get to most of them, hopefully. I find when I make a TBR, I do better at trying to like stick with it. At least when I was making videos before, my TBR videos, I like read everything on them, so maybe that's the key for me. I have no idea. But yeah, I'm so happy to be back, and I'm gonna start posting videos regularly now. I've had a lot of time to think up a bunch of ideas for videos I want to do, so I'm gonna start filming those and putting those together this week, and then over the weekend. And yeah, so this should be a regular thing. And tell me what you're reading below. I can't wait to hear about it and to reconnect with some of you guys. Have a great night and have a great rest of your week. Thanks for watching.